Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and I'm filming this video on Sunday the 18th of May, and today is the day I'm going to start the slow process of rehabilitating or rejuvenating my sickly citrus collection, which is going to involve quite a lot of work on all of them, including repotting, pruning, pest control, changing soils, etc, etc. So one of the problems I've got is a lot of my plants are looking extremely excuse me, sickly, like this one. This is a mandarin Oro Grande I should say, and you can see the poor health of the leaves. It's not actually got too many pests on it. There's the odd scale insect here and there, but nothing too shocking, and you can see it's even got flowers on it. However, the plant is very, very sickly. It is probably one of my worst, although I've got some others that are probably close to death than this one. So it needs a big change around. Now, I talked about a week or so ago, I did talk about that I'm going to change the soil mix on them, because I'm finding that the 511 mix is not working for me. This is in a typical 511 mix, and that's basically 5 parts of coarse orchid bark or pine bark to 1 part of, I think it was peat, and 1 part of perlite. Some of the excuse me, some of the plants might have a slightly different mix to that, depending on when I was potting them up, but we'll see what happens. Now, the mix I'm going to swap to, which I mentioned, which I'm going to try initially, is this one here, and this comprises of 1 part of John Innes number 3, 1 part of coarse sands, to 1 part of perlite, and 1 part of peat or cocoa coir, depending on what I've got available, because moss peat's not so easy to come by here now. The cocoa coir's quite easy to get, and if it is the cocoa coir, I'll try and buy the coarse one. Now, this will have the advantage, I think, of being heavier, so the plants won't fall over. It also won't break down in time like the bark will, which tends to get a build up of fine soils at the bottom of the pots. This is largely, there's a lot of mineral base in this, so it should stay fairly stable, which means the plants can stay in the pots a lot longer. It will also hold on to moisture more evenly, rather than it passing through quickly. I mean, this is still very well drained, the soil, and well aerated, but it will retain moisture better, I think, than the bark based compost, which once it does dry out, it's very hard to wet again. I've also added a little bit of slow release fertilizer to this, so we're going to change them over. Now, what I'm going to basically do is, when I pull them out of these pots, this is not going to be wasted. It's quite a loose soil, and what I shall do is put it into another pot, which I've got over here for another mix. I'm going to repurpose or reuse the bark, and I'm going to add, obviously, topsoil or John Innes to it, and then what's in this pot here I will use to repot my outdoor hardy trees, figs, persimmons, and other plants that need repotting into bigger pots. So I won't be wasting the compost, I'll simply be using the bark in something else. And basically, what I'm going to do with each plant, obviously you can see there's flowers on this, I'm going to take off about 1/3 of the top growth. Now, in the case of this one, I don't mind these lower branches. The graft is here. This is on a Citronge Carrizo rootstock. Originally came from Mew Garden, I think. Normally I don't mind these lower branches, but I think in the case of this one I'm actually going to take them off because they're growing a bit weird and they're all on one side. I don't mind a bush, but I think I'll carry on growing this one as kind of a standard tree. If the top dies off, Then obviously at that stage I will allow lower branches to grow, but for the time being I'm going to take these off. I'm not going to bother trying to root them. I've got too many citrus and I don't need to be propagating them. A lot of these yellow leaves, if I give it a shake, as you can see, will just fall off. So that will get rid of the surplus dead leaves, but I'm definitely going to thin some of the growth down to, I'm going to probably take a third of it off, and then I'll cut back any dead tips or stems, remove it from the pot, and we'll have a look at that and see what happens in a minute. Okay, so basically I'm going to film the whole process on this one plant because I'm not going to be filming all the citrus. There's far too many. It'll take much too long, be too boring and repetitive, and it'll also slow me down doing the ones that I'm going to do. So basically I'm just going to show you that on this one here, I'm going to take these lower shoots off flush with the stem and lose those, and then basically when it comes to the top, I'm going to prune back the ones that have got dead tips on them, or I think just need a little bit of refreshing. There's very few scale insects on this, so I'm actually just going to rub them back with my fingers, to be honest, when I see them, because I don't think there's any need to spray this plant because it's got so few. They're not seriously weakening the plant. So any shoots that are growing inwards or inside the plant, I'm going to take the inward facing ones off, so open the plants out a little bit more. I said any that are actually dead or got dieback on them can be trimmed back as well. Crossing over branches can be removed because they don't serve any purpose. They just cause the plant to be too cluttered. I mean, these would make good cuttings for someone who wanted to propagate their plants, but I've just got too many and I don't want to be sending out, I really don't want to be sending out cuttings to people. I haven't got time or the inclination, and I'm hoping that removing most of the surplus growth will allow the plant to sort of rejuvenate itself in any case. I'm going to leave some flowers on because with the new compost, I think the plant hopefully will regenerate quite quickly, and we'll see a lot of new shoots on it. Just start to get this thinned out nicely now. Let's do a couple of the top ones. Lovely smell coming off it anyway. I don't need the plants to get particularly tall, so I will take off the top sort of 2 or 3 inches of it as well. There's one branch that's in the middle there. Let's take that out. Thin, sickly one. Should be able to focus on new growth quite easily. As I said, this has got very little in the way of scale insects on it, just a handful, and they can be removed, and of course once the sickly leaves fall off, any scale on there will be removed as well. Excuse me. So I hope you can see it's a little bit more open. Now what I'm going to do is just I'm going to repot this in the same size pot, which I think is about 9 litres, so only 2 gallons roughly, 2 imperial gallons. Then we'll pull this out the pot and see how easily the soil comes off, which is one thing that should happen with the 511 bark mix. Have a look at the root ball on it. Roots are relatively healthy, which is one advantage of the mix I'm using. However, a lot of the roots look quite dry, so I don't think it's holding enough moisture for a citrus. So let's give it a little shake. Right, so you can see that most of that has come off very easily. Now when you repot it, it is quite important to plant it at roughly the same height in the pot. So the top of the root flare should be just on the surface or just below the surface of the compost. The roots do look very dry on it, and I think that will really improve with the new compost I'm using. There's plenty of drain holes in the bottom of this pot, so that should be okay. Let me just get some soil in here. Oh, sorry, getting dirt in my eyes. Going to have to pause the video for a minute while I deal with that. Apologise about that. Back again. I don't know what flicked in my eye, but it was far too irritating to carry on potting. So basically, let me try and show you. I'm just going to hold the plant at the right height in the pot. Gently fill it up with the new soil mix. Obviously try and hold the tree steady. Give it a good shake so that the new mix drops down around the roots. Just give it a gentle firm down. Now this should be much less likely to blow over. It's not particularly top heavy now, obviously, because it's got a much heavier mix in the pot. That's at least double the weight it was, and that's at about right level. Now what I'm also going to do with each one of these, once I've finished repotting them, is I'm going to give them a good soak with sea salt. That's a seaweed liquid feed, as well as the little bit of fertiliser I've mixed into the soil. So I'm hoping that it will rejuvenate the plants, and I'll give them a good soaking. I hope the video will be of some interest to people. Obviously there will be different people who use different methods to try and rejuvenate sickly citrus. But this is what I'm going to do with these ones. It already looks better for having a prune and getting rid of most of the yellow leaves, and I'm hopeful that the new growth, when it comes out, will green up and be a much darker green, and eventually I'll get all my citrus looking nice and healthy. And the fact that it's got flowers on it, now it's in the new compost, it may even hold a couple of fruits this year. It's quite possible, because we're only in May and they've set quite early. So if that's been of any use to you, I'm going to say thanks for watching, and please give me a thumbs up. Share the video if you think it might be of interest to anyone else. Please do subscribe to my channel, and obviously if you want to see how my citrus hopefully rehabilitation or rejuvenation or revitalisation progresses, remember to click on the bell so you know when new videos come out. And obviously in a month or two I'll do an update on some of my citrus and see if they're looking any better. So thanks very much for watching the video. I'll see you in the next video. Let me just get myself organised so I can get to the camera. I'll see you on the next video. Brett out for now.